Hello, everybody. We are going ahead with our Excel practice exercises, and I have already opened up an Excel workbook. I am on sheet 1. As you can see down here, that's sheet 1. And we are going to follow all the numbers from the practice 1 until number 17. This is company information for Gasper, and we are supposed to enter that data into a workbook or a file named food. We are also supposed to rename the worksheet as monthly in addition to entering the data. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do number 1 and 2, and then we shall continue from there. Okay, I've finished entering my data. I'm now going to save this file. Control S is the shortcut, and I'm going to save it on my desktop folder, the one I called practice, and we were supposed to save it with the file name food. Okay, we've gone ahead to save the work and also change the worksheet name to monthly. So I go to where we have the worksheet name sheet 1. I double click and I type the file name monthly, and I press enter to save that name, and our work is saved. We shall do question 3 and 4 together. We are supposed to copy the data onto another worksheet and rename it as annual, the new worksheet. So I'm going to click anywhere inside the data I have just entered, and I press Ctrl A. That will automatically select the data that I have just typed. Otherwise, you can go to one corner of your data, and with your finger pressed down, you highlight all the data that you have just worked with, and then we use Ctrl C to copy. And we are going to go down to the areas of the worksheet tabs, and there's a plus sign in Excel 2016 that allows us to add a new worksheet. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that plus, and I'll double click on the sheet 2, and I'm going to give this the name annual. And I press the enter key to save that. And I'm going to go ahead and press Ctrl V, which is for pasting, so that we paste the information that we have just copied. And I'm going to save this work. Again, the shortcut is Ctrl S to save the work we have just pasted there. And then we're instructed that on the monthly worksheet, calculate the total amount spent each month on each food item. Remember, this data is for a monthly basis. So we have to go back. Remember, we're on the annual worksheet. We are going back to the monthly worksheet as instructed. We are supposed to calculate the total amount spent each month and also the daily amounts spent on each item with the assumption that a month has 30 days. So I'll click in cell D1 and I will put our headings. I've put the first one and the second one. I've pressed the tab key. It goes to the right. I type in daily. Okay, here we are looking at making sure that we know how to use the asterisk for multiplication, plus for addition, minus, and the / for division. So in this case, we are going to be multiplying. To get the total amount spent each month, we have to multiply the price times the quantity. And anytime you're going to put in a manual function, you always start with the equal sign. So there is my equal sign is equal to, I'm going to go ahead and click on the cell for price times, we are going to use the asterisk and we click on the quantity and we go ahead and press the enter key. You can either use the enter up there or the enter key on the keyboard. And it shows you the formula. In the cell, it gives you the figure 800,000, but you notice that in the formula bar, it shows you the formula that you actually put in to get the answer over there. And to copy this formula down, we are going to go to the fill handle. Remember, the fill handle is when your cursor, which was a fat plus sign, changes to a clean plus. There it is there. You move your mouse pointer to the small square in the corner and you double click and it will automatically go all the way down until the last cell, as long as there are no blanks. Okay, next we're going to work on the daily, and we are told to assume that a month has 30 days. How much did we spend on each item on a daily basis? Remember, this is the total for a monthly basis. So our daily, we are going to start with the equal sign, is equal to the total. You have to click on that cell, divide by, there is our symbol for divide, 30. And we are going to enter. And we are going to use the fill handle to copy this formula all the way down. The next number tells us to represent the figures, all the figures in the worksheet using comma style and with no decimal places. So I'm going to highlight the figures we have over there, and we are going to go to the home menu. On the home tab or home menu, we are going to go to the section, the group called number. And on that group, one of the icons there looks like a comma. That's the comma style tool. We're going to click on it once. And when you click on it, it automatically puts the numbers with a comma after every 1,000th digit. But you also notice that the figures appear with two decimal places by default. So still on the same number tool, we have two tools. One is for increased decimal places and another is decreased decimal places. With the text still highlighted, we are going to click once and twice to remove those decimal places. I'm going to press Ctrl S to save my work. Don't forget to save, especially if you're using a PC and you do not have a power backup or a power bank somewhere. Okay, we move ahead to the next one. We are supposed to use the primary data to calculate the total, the average price, the lowest price and quantity, the highest price and quantities using functions, the built-in functions. So we are going to use built-in functions to work with those. This is our primary data. This is the data we started with. That's why we are calling it the primary data. Any calculations we make after using this data, like the total and daily, is what we call the secondary data, or data that comes in after. So we've been told to use this primary data and make those calculations. So I'm just going to type in all the different things we are supposed to calculate. Okay, I've gone ahead and typed in all these: total quantity, average price, lowest quantity, highest price, and the highest quantity. I'm just going to go ahead between the letters at the top, between letter A and B. I want to resize these cells so that the text doesn't bleed as it's currently doing. So I go between column A and B. You will notice that I am between the letters, not the cells. You go between the letters and you double click. Once you double click, it will auto resize the cells. So now each of these words is clearly within its own cell and is not bleeding into the next cell. I'm going to zoom out. Let me go here to the zoom tool. Just zoom a bit so that we can see our headings at the top. Okay, that's better. We are going to first start with the total quantity. I'm going to click where I would like my answer to go. And even though we are using the built-in functions, we are going to type our formulas in. So for the total, in order to get the total quantity over here, we need to use the sum function, SUM, sum. So we start our formula with the equal sign, is equal to, and we type sum, that is the function, and you check below to make sure that you've spelled it correctly. And whenever you use the built-in functions, you type the function name and you always follow it with an open bracket. That's the function. So sum, and we open our brackets, and we are going to go ahead and highlight the text that we would like to be summed up. And you'll notice that as you highlight, it shows you that we are summing a range from C2 through to C9. Sometimes you may prefer to type, if you know the address of your range, you may type that directly, but I find it's easier to highlight, especially when your range is short. And we finish the range, and the next thing to do is to close the bracket. You open the brackets, you have to close them. And that's it. And we are going to press the enter key. And we have gotten our quantity over there. Next is the average price. And we are told to calculate that to 2 decimal places. So here is price. So I'm going to put my cursor right below the price column and also in line with the average price space. And the tool for average is the word average. So we start with the equal sign and we type the word average. Okay, there is a correct spelling, so I can follow that too. And remember what we said, every function has to have an open bracket. So we want the average for the price. I'm going to just highlight the price and I close the bracket. And again, I press the tick, and there's my average price. And we were told to show this to 2 decimal places. Remember where we went the last time? On the home menu, under the group, the number group, we click there and we are going to increase. This time we are increasing the decimal places by 2. So I click once and twice, and that's the figure that we need over there. Next, we are supposed to calculate the lowest price, and the function for lowest or the minimum is MIN, mean. So I click in the cell below and I start with the equal sign and I type the word MIN. That's the function for getting the minimum, and I open with a bracket. And then we are going to select or highlight all the prices, the price range that we have, and we close our bracket and we click enter. So it shows us that the lowest price is 100,000. This is useful when you have a lot of information. Notice that this exercise has just a few items, but there may be times when you may have a list that has almost 1 million items, and this is a quick way of knowing the lowest value in the range of data that you have. We are going to do the same with quantity, and we shall put our cursor in the corresponding column for quantity. And we do the same. To get the lowest, we said we use the minimum. So is equal to MIN, and we open our bracket and we select the data. Notice that I'm selecting exactly precisely the range that is required, and I'm trying not to include any blank cells in what I select. And we close this up, and again we press the enter key. Okay, good. Next we're going to look at the highest. The function that we use to get the highest item in a range is max, MAX. So we start with the equal sign and we type MAX. Again, we open with a bracket, and the highest price, we're going to select exactly what we need, and we close our bracket and we press the enter key. And that's the highest price. And the highest quantity, we're also going to do the same, is equal to MAX. Open the bracket and we select our quantity and we close our bracket and we enter. And we are done with that section. I like saving my work. Each time I'm done, Control S, I've saved that work. Next, we are supposed to use a text box to insert a heading, the heading monthly expenses. And you will notice that I don't have space at the top to put a heading or a text box at the top of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert some rows into our data. So the shortcut for this, notice that I go and I'm selecting 3 rows, 3 numbers, 1, 2, and 3. I press on the first one and I move my mouse down, and on the highlighted information or the rows, I right click and I choose the option insert. Automatically it will insert the same number of rows that you initially highlighted. So in my case, I highlighted 3 rows, and you will notice that I have 3 blank rows at the top. Okay, and we are going to go to the insert menu, and in the group called text, it's right at the end, I click on text. I'm going to click the option text box. Remember, we did this in Word. So we click and it comes in with a handle that you're going to use to press and drag to create space for the text box. And as soon as you do that, your cursor will start blinking. Go ahead and type your text as it is shown on the exercise. Okay, so that's what we have. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to make this bold. I'm going to use this hidden toolbar, bold, and I'm going to put it in the center. I could also increase the text just a bit. There we go. And seems like my text box is a bit small. Okay. You'll notice that when the text is too big, it gets hidden below. I don't want it to be hidden. Let me just give my text some color. Okay, maybe a bit on the light side. Okay, there I have a heading, and remember we used a text box. You can resize your text box according to the data and the font size of your text. Okay, we move ahead. I don't want this too big. There, that's sufficient. We move ahead to the next item. We are supposed to copy only the items and daily expenses onto a worksheet renamed daily expenses. So we are only supposed to copy this information here and the daily onto another. But remember that the daily is actually not figures, they are formulas. If you look at the formula bar, all these are formulas. So one thing we do whenever you want to make a copy of data that is in the form of formulas, you are going to use paste special, and in this example we are going to use paste values. So to select specifically those two columns, I am going to do so. First, I highlight the first column. I started at the heading items all the way down to salt, and then with one finger on the control key, I'm going to go ahead and press control. I will go and select the other column that I want. So I have selected both columns. Remember, I first highlighted the first column, then I put my finger on the control button and selected the next column. You will notice that the first cell in the second selection seems as though it's not selected. It is selected. Don't go back and click on it. It will mess up the data. So next we are going to go ahead and create a new worksheet named daily expenses. Oh, before I do that, I first need to copy. You have to copy this work. So Control C, and the dotted lines show you that you have actually copied. And then you go ahead and click the plus sign next to the worksheets, and we are going to create a new worksheet. Let me go ahead and rename it. This is daily expenses. And I press enter. So I'm going to go ahead and press right click. I'm not just going to do Control V. This time I'm going to right click on the cell A1, and instead of just pasting, I'm going to paste values, which is paste 1, 2, 3. It has the number 1, 2, 3. That is pasting values, and it has put my data in as copied from the other side. So again, Control S to save this work. So next we are supposed to go to the annual worksheet and use merged cells to insert a heading. So I click on the annual worksheet, and we are supposed to insert a heading. Again, I don't have space for my heading, so I will go to the row numbers, select row 1, 2, and 3, right click, and I go ahead to insert, and some space has been created. So this time, instead of using a text box, we are using a merged box or a merged cells. So I'm going to select these cells here, and I go to the home menu, and under the alignment group, one of these tools is for merging, and I'm going to go ahead and select the tool which says merge and center. You could click on the drop down arrow and you'll still have that option, merge and center. And what happens, all the cells you've created are going to become one cell. So I click in that cell and I'm going to type an appropriate heading for the annual worksheet. Remember, this is annual, so we shall give it the company name, which is Gasper. And then to enter to go to the next line, you press Alt, the Alt key right next to the space bar. Press Alt and enter at the same time, and it takes your cursor below. And we are going to type annual expenses. Okay, and we are going to do the same thing with this. I'm going to select it, make it bold, and remember it's already centered. So there's our text, and I would like this text to be in the middle. Right now it is centered, but it's at the bottom of the cell. So I go to the home menu and not the center tool. Remember, there is a difference between the center tool and the middle align tool. So I'm going to choose the option middle align, and you will notice that the text is now in the middle of the cell. And we are supposed to calculate the annual quantity bought by the company. Annual quantity, annual. Remember, the data we copied to put here was for monthly. So the annual quantity is going to be the monthly quantity times 12. In a year, we have 12 months. So we start with our equal sign, click on the quantity multiplied by 12. And we are going to enter. And again, we go to our fill handle to drag this down. Good. Control S. Let's save our work. We are supposed to change the text direction of the headings. So here are our headings. Let me just make them bold so that you can see them. I clicked Control B. And on the home menu, still under the alignment tools, we have the tool, the orientation tool, that allows us to change the text direction according to the direction you'd like. If you click on any of the text directions here and you find that they are not what you want, at the bottom of the alignment tool, we have Format Cell Alignment. If you click on that, it opens up a window that allows you to change the direction by clicking exactly what you want. So I've just clicked on this point here to change the text direction just a bit, and I am going to click OK at the bottom of the screen, and the text direction has been changed. Next, we are supposed to sort in ascending order of the items. Well, there are different ways of sorting. Let me just zoom out so that we can see what we are doing. Usually it's better to highlight the text and include the headings. And in case you had additions at the bottom, just as we had in the previous worksheet, you make sure you select only the main data. Don't select the items below, because they could also be sorted and you end up finding a total is at the top, yet it is not supposed to be part of the data that is sorted. So I've selected my text. You can start from any direction. Just make sure you've included your heading. And then on the home menu, we are going to go to the editing tab, the last one on the right, and we are going to select the option sort and filter, and we are going to select custom sort. Okay, when we click custom sort, you want to make sure you have a tick in the box which says my data has headers, because we actually selected our headings. Okay, and sort by, we are going to come here to which column do we want to sort by, and in this case we are going to sort by items. We were told to sort in ascending order, so A to Z is ascending order. In case you had to sort by something else, you could go ahead and click the option add level. So you can first sort by items and then you sort by something else, or you first sort by a category and then you sort by something more detailed. You just add a level and you could select the sort you needed. So in this case, we're just going to click OK and our items are sorted. Next, we are supposed to delete the column for price. Okay, you have different ways of doing this. If you have to delete a whole column, it is easier to click on the letter of that column. So price, the price information is in column B. So I'm going to right click on column B, right click, and I just choose the option delete, and automatically that information is deleted. Control S to save our work. We are supposed to insert a row to insert the information for eggs. Remember, our work is now sorted, so we need to put a row between cakes and peas. I am going to right click on peas in the row for peas. Notice that I'm right clicking on number 8. I put my cursor over number 8 and I right click. And when I choose insert, it automatically puts a row above. That is how Excel does it. Right click, and when you insert the row, it will go above. Okay. Let me just undo this and show you another option. If you had clicked on peas instead of the number 8, when you click the option insert, it will, well, it already did it for me again. Hold on. I want to click on a cell, not on the whole row. Okay, I click here on peas, right click, and when I choose insert, it gives me different options. Do I want to insert an entire row or just shift cells down? You're supposed to select the option entire row. So those are the two options. I prefer to right click on the number so that it's clean and you're able to put your data in. So let's put in the data for eggs. And for the formula to continue, you just go up to the formula before and you're going to use the fill handle, double click, and it will automatically copy down. Don't forget to save your work. And we finally go to the last part of this exercise, which is to filter the data to only show a few items. So to filter our data, we are going to go to the headings of this data. We highlight the headings. And we are going to go back to the Home tab, and still under editing, we are going to go back to the option for sort and filter, and we are going to select the option filter. And you will notice that your data now has arrows on each of the headers at the top, and those are the ones we use to filter our data. The first filter is to only pick items beginning with the letter S. So that means we're in the items column. We're going to click on that arrow down, select text filters, and we are going to select the option that says begins with, because we want to begin with letter S. And when that pops up, we are just going to type the letter S and we click OK. And our data has been sorted to only show items beginning with letter S. So I'm going to select all this data here because we've been told to copy, to save this data onto another worksheet. So I have selected and Control C. I copy my work. Click on the plus sign for another worksheet. And we are supposed to name this worksheet S Foods. There we go. And press enter, and then we are going to use Control V to paste that data. And you will notice that it only brings in the items which begin with the letter S. So we go back to our annual worksheet and we are going to remove this filter. Don't go to another filter without clearing this filter. So we click on the icon with filter and we select the option clear filter from the items. Let me just repeat that. You will notice the filter has a funnel that shows you that it has filtered something. So click on that icon for the filter and choose the option clear filter from items. You can also use the escape button to remove anything that has been copied. Next, we are supposed to filter to show quantity of 100 and above and save the copy on another worksheet called quantity 100. So we click on the arrow, the filter arrow for quantity, and we go to number filters and we are going to select the option greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to, and we are going to type 100. That is going to bring anything that is equal to 100 or greater than that, which is the same as above, and we click OK. So it shows us all the items that have a quantity above 100. And we are going to select this text, highlight it or select it, and Control C, that's to copy. And we are going to click on our add a worksheet. Click once and we are going to rename this worksheet as quantity 100 and enter. And we go ahead and either right click paste or just Control V, and that work is pasted. So we save our work. I hope you've learned some of the basic things in Excel, the elements. We've tried to use shortcuts because we had already worked or looked at Excel in class. This is just a recap of what we covered in class. I hope you were able to follow. If not, take time, pause, and grasp the different things you're supposed to have learned in this exercise. So I've saved my work and I'm going to close out. Okay, thank you and see you in the next exercise.